Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction and recovery. Join your hosts,
the Podfather,
Jersey Ed,
Miss Meg,
as they break the silence and speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey everybody, welcome to Friends in Recovery. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles. I'm here with
Jersey Ed.
And Chris Cuddihy.
And
Sweets.
And
I don't know.
And Andy.
Well, Miss Meg, we miss Miss Meg.
yeah, that's
We
right.
haven't seen her in a couple shows, but she's busy doing her professional stuff.
Yeah, like work and
like
life.
work and real stuff.
making
you know.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Weirdo,
exactly.
not doing podcasts, just out there making money and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Like real stuff, you know.
So we pulled some guy off the street. Poor unfortunate Andy. Hey Andy, how are you? All right. What am I doing here?
You guys are great.
You guys are good. Is there any more food?
Oh, God.
Brought to you
Pastries.
from our sponsor.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Creepy voices are us.
Yes. So we're deciding what we should talk about today because we had a wrench thrown in our program here, and that's what life is about, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be nimble on your feet to figure out what you do next.
Right.
So
That's
that's
what Henry
we're doing.
Ford said. Be
Yep.
nimble.
Be nimble. Yes, absolutely. You got to be ready to go, and you got to be. So our guest is canceled, and it's just us now. So
We
I
are
think
our
we're good
own
enough.
guests.
we
I
are
think
our own
we are
guests.
good enough.
Yes, absolutely.
I think
We
so.
are special, and we are guests.
Yes,
I am
yes.
definitely special.
Yeah.
Well, it is a special day. It's the day before Jersey Ed's 54th birthday.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yeah.
54, baby. That's
love
it.
it.
You
Yes,
look
yes.
good for your age.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as
no
good
pod-
as sweets, by the way.
No Podfather, as in the words of Jeff Zeisel, I just look good.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff does look good. I got to
He
give
does
him that.
look good, man.
Like I
He's-
said to him one day, hey, Jeff, no worries. And he said to me, Mike, I don't worry about anything.
He does not, man. He can give a
great.
fuck
As
about
he drove
anything.
off in his Mercedes with 4 different tires on it.
None of them
Yeah.
his own.
But sober.
But
Sober.
100%.
But
Well,
sober.
he's not in a program.
Oh,
He's not in
okay.
the
Yeah,
program.
never mind.
I've never seen him drink.
I seen him drink once in a
Did you?
while. That
Well, then
was
hopefully
it,
he
man.
was sober.
Yeah.
He
Guys
drove
got more-
off. I mean, yeah. Let's hope for the
Yeah,
best.
hopefully he was sober when he drove off.
Let's just
so.
assume the best. And,
Yeah.
and, you
Yeah.
know,
More energy than anyone I know.
Well, that's a good topic. What about drinking and driving? How dangerous it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out
Oh,
there.
dude, I can talk you
Right?
about that. I
I know.
lost both my parents
How
to that
dangerous is it?
situation.
Did you really?
How's that? What?
How
Oh,
dangerous is it?
It's super dangerous, man.
Is it?
Yeah, super dangerous.
Like how dangerous? Like on a
Like,
scale of
uh,
1 to 10.
1 to
10.
10, it's I lost my dad at the age of
Yeah.
4, my mother at the age of
So
7.
it's like
Yeah.
an 11.
It's
Yeah.
11.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
911.
that's
Both
an
a
11.
motor vehicle accident.
Both a motor vehicle
Wow.
accident.
But how many times, have you been out drinking, right? And then at the end of the night, you decide you're going to get behind the wheel, and it's not an 11 at that point, right? It's just,
don't
I
care.
need to get home.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive. I'll be
should have been
fine.
an
I'm
11.
different. You know what I mean? I'm
Oh, yeah.
special.
Yeah.
And I mean, I forget about drinking and driving for a second. I thought that about everything. On every substance I was on, I was like, yeah, I'm fine to
Yeah.
operate heavy. Oh, heavy machinery? You'll pay me? yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll swing that.
yeah.
I'll swing that back over. Just watch out, guys. And
I
it
don't
was
know what I'm doing, but
yeah, it really didn't matter. It wasn't so much that I didn't care about other people. It's
No.
that I was kind of focused.
Yeah.
kind of like with drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Like your focus is what? Getting
Well,
home.
Just get home and
I drive better when I'm high.
Yeah.
But it's
better.
all bullshit, guys. It really is. It's not. We kid around, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a dead wrong thing to do, and there's serious consequences on it. Mike, how many drunk drivers accidents have you been to?
Oh,
How
too
many
many.
were they're dead, or how many accidents, or how many times you pull somebody over and I'm not drunk, and clearly they're drunk even without giving them a test. I mean, you probably have stories up the ass of drunk driving.
I have one quick story. A guy.
Weird place to keep them.
Yeah, well, pull them out
Well,
somehow.
they're one hell of a
Let
story.
me pull this one out. Guy's driving home, stops at the liquor store, gets a six pack, couple scratch tickets. He's in an old beat up Ford pickup truck, and he's driving in a highly congested area, a well populated area, 25 miles an hour. He's going about 25 miles an hour. He didn't close his door all the way, his driver's door, and it swung open as he was taking a right turn. And as he reached out to grab the door, he went between a telephone pole and a guide wire, and the wire hit his neck, broke it, died on the scene right there, dead as a doornail. The beer, ice cold, the scratch tickets, everything else was there. The blood alcohol at the autopsy was was over 2,
Wow.
which, you know, that's
dangerous,
That's
yeah.
drunk.
That's a big
Yeah,
one,
that's drunk.
That's bad,
And
yeah.
here's a guy, 2 kids at home, everyone's waiting. And his MO was when he get out, didn't drink all week, but drank from Friday to Sunday about 6 o'clock, nonstop. And he was just starting, and, you know, he obviously started a little early. He was grabbing another 6-pack for the ride home.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was awful.
That's
It was
horrible.
a beautiful summer night, and I just remember this guy was as gray as a Crayola crayon, dead as a doornail, and you know, I just and I was active back then too. I never gave it. I did it. I did it 1,000 times and never gave it a thought.
Well, here's the other part too, and Chris, you can probably attest to this. Where I'm going with this one, but the families of the person who killed themselves in this drunk driving accident, or the outcome or the aftermath of everything that you have to deal with, getting killed by somebody. I remember. I'll tell a quick story before you get your word on it. But I remember going to. You guys remember? Not tough. It was out of Rawway Prison. They did a show, and these guys in jail would go around talking about drinking and driving and using drugs and everything. I forgot what they
like
called
Scared
it.
Straight.
Scared Straight. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an old show, and I was able to see one of their topics. I was in recovery at the time, and this young kid, it couldn't have been no more than 30, if that. He told his story. I'll make it a quick version here. He was down to Jersey Shore. They needed more beer. He was all fucked up, and he jumped in his car, ended up on the New Jersey Turnpike the wrong way, wiped out a family in a minivan. Now, this family was just going down to the Jersey Shore to have fun, probably renting a house or something to enjoy their. Wiped out mom, dad, and I think it was 3 young kids that he wiped out, and he didn't get hurt.
Wow.
That hurt
They
one
all
bit.
died?
Yeah, the whole family got wiped out because he drove up the wrong way. You know, so it's a serious, sad thing. You know, but like you said, we can't make we're impaired when we make those decisions to jump in that car. So
Well, I had a close friend who was a police officer, young guy who was in his late 30s, 17 years on the job, goes to a party in Boston on his way home, gets in an accident, kills the other operator. He gets arrested, loses his job, spent 4 years in jail, just got out in October. Did 4 years in jail. His whole career gone. But he got sober in jail. Unfortunately, you know, he didn't even fight. He went to court and pled guilty, which you never see. He apologized to the family. Of course, it fell on deaf ears, and you can't blame them. But he promised the family the rest of his life, every day, he would be thinking of their son. Right now, he's a personal trainer. You know, he feels fortunate that he's sober, but unfortunately, I mean, look at the price he paid.
yeah.
Well, you know, on the personal side, on that, and on a couple of issues, there was no BAC test back then. You know, back in 1962, 61, 62, there wasn't one. In 1957, there wasn't a test. You know, I met a gentleman when I was bartending that was the last person reportedly to see my dad before he had his accident on Dune Road. And I said, was he drunk? He said, well, he had a couple of martinis. My dad was a drunk. At the age of 34, he was a drunk. 5 kids, 34 years old. You know, it was a 4th of July weekend. He's on his way home. He hits a telephone pole, you know, dies a few hours later. Now, you know, I talk about it with my mother. I go, again, no BAC tests. We don't know whether she was drinking, but I know the fact is if she'd made the right out of our house on Noyac Road, that she'd have actually gone to the place to pick up my sister from choir practice. But she made a left, made the long run. The only thing on the left was a bar.
Right.
Right? We know that she was drinking the night before, so that brings in the whole thing of, you know, you don't know. You know, I mean, she was one of the co-founders of AA in Southampton. She you know, she was a good woman. She was a loving mother, 6 kids.
Wow.
What do I know? How do I prove it? I know that shaped my life. I mean, I told someone the other day that in many ways, I'm grateful that my parents died when I was a kid, because then I didn't have to go through the shit that I've watched everybody else go through. Of course, I miss them. You know, at 66, I still miss my mom. You know, I didn't know my dad. That's a terrible, terrible thing to grow up with. You know, what bothers me is and Ed, you and I have talked about that, is the fact that we allow the liquor companies to drive this conversation. That everything we do revolves around alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 85,000 deaths, alcohol-related deaths this year. You know, last year alone. That's, again, registered deaths. You know, 90% of campus crime. Podfather, I mean, how much crime is caused through alcohol?
Absolutely.
You know, obviously prohibition doesn't work, But the fact is that education works. We know that when we get into the schools and we tell the kids, hey, don't drink, don't do this, here's the outcome. I go out and tell my story, and you tell it, it's real. What, you didn't have a mom and a dad? Yeah, I was orphaned at the age of 7 and sent all over the place.
Yeah. Well, do you think the executives at any liquor company, I'm not going to name them, but do you think they even care about your mom and dad? Do you
Couldn't
think
give
they
a
care?
crap.
Nope, they don't care. Whatever the alcohol was, they don't care. They're living in their beautiful homes because they know that there's alcoholics out there and they're never going to go under. They're never going to. Nothing's ever going to happen to them.
And we got a 0.8, I guess it is, and by the time our officers have gotten to the scene, they have they do the first drug test, then they get them back, they get them to headquarters, they give them the second test. They're now below that level. Suffolk County in New York has been pushing to get it to 0.5. The liquor lobby are fighting against it. The strongest lobby is the brewers and the liquor lobbies. Why? Because they want us to get drunk. They don't care about the accidents. 85,000 deaths doesn't mean a thing to them. I mean, that's a really inflammatory thing to say. But where's that circular economy that says all the billions of dollars that these guys make, why aren't they investing in Genesis House? Why aren't they investing in podcasts and everything else like this to educate it? Drink sensibly? I don't know. Does anybody...
Well, aren't they all
Sweet, you ever drink sensibly?
I don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
What does those words mean?
I see it at the bottom of the screen, but I can't figure out what it means.
What a load of crap. It's like that car where the car zooms all over the place and goes, done in a closed track. Don't try this. I'm like, shit, I'm getting in my car and driving that fucker like that.
Where's that track at?
Well, the whole thing is a self-regulating agency. I mean, whether it's the alcohol industry or the pharmaceutical industry, like they're tasked with policing themselves. They're tasked with their own... pushing their own agenda, and we just let it happen. That's a capitalist country. Is that that's your business? We'll just take care of it. Make sure it doesn't hurt anybody, and you'll be fine. And so they're doing their own cost analysis, kind of like the the airbag,
the Takata airbags.
Yeah.
How many people died during that, and they still haven't fixed it?
And that was a recall on my son's car with the airbags. But those companies, they look at it's the cost of a recall versus the cost of the settlements.
That's right.
Whichever one is lower is the one that they do. And it's the same with alcohol, same with tobacco, same with, the pharmaceutical industries. And it becomes, we look to them. Like, what do we look to with the cigarette companies? Like, pay for ads, pay for smoking cessation ads. And cool, $50 million here. Go nuts.
486,000 smoking-related deaths every year. That's just it.
That's more than drugs and alcohol combined.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
So what have we got? We've got alcohol. We've got drugs, legal and illegal. We have sugar, which we know is the major cause of diabetic diseases. What else?
There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, food.
Listening to Ed too long.
Listening
to Ed Reed.
Hey, I read good in the last podcast.
I do have a great statistic, which is 18,000 people a year die falling downstairs. So I use that one. 18,000 people a year, man.
More people die from hippos than shark attacks.
Fair enough. You don't
in case you wanted to know that.
There you go.
You learned something.
Well, I think, Sweets, you were talking on a couple other shows. I think you brought it up a couple times, but the statistics with the smoking. You said that Truth Campaign really curbed the young people.
I think at one point they got it down to 5 or 6%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And
but
we can
I think
that was pre-vape.
Yeah, pre-vape. But here's the thing: but that generation that stopped and maybe is not going to pick it up, they're going to come through and they're going to be up in a generation where all these people are dying now because of the cigarettes.
Right.
So I think what we have to do is we have to let this play out. We have to educate young and let it play out and let it go through the generations. And hopefully it'll just keep coming through, and the numbers will keep coming down. They'll never go away, like Podfather said on the other show. Suicide numbers will never go away, but we can get them down.
Yeah, but the circular economy, when it comes to tobacco and drugs and alcohol and sugar, force those corporations to do their due diligence.
But what is due diligence for them?
Well, is to pay for those programs.
But if you sell poison,
right,
that kills people.
Yep.
What is due diligence?
Well, if you
is
spend
it to
your
stop
time
selling poison?
Well, that was what it would ultimately be.
Use poison responsibly.
Ultimately, I say no tobacco should be on shelves. I don't care. You're not making it illegal, but don't sell it in the stores. I don't care how you get it. Roll it your own. I mean,
do you have enough money to fight that cause?
Well, a lot of stores.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
a lot
the
of
problem.
stores have adhered to that. CVS, Rite Aid,
Walgreens.
It's good for them.
all
Cigarettes, they don't sell.
And I think it's a good idea, and you got to start somewhere. But this opioid epidemic has taken the the onus of any responsibility off the alcohol companies, because everyone's talking about death by opioid addiction.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Podfather, you brought that up because I will go out of my way to find a CVS or a Walgreens. Not that it's hard not to find them. To buy something from there because they don't sell the tobacco anymore, and
Yeah,
they don't
just sell the smoking cessation
Yeah.
products.
Yeah. But I'll buy, I'll go there for a soda, or not a soda, I don't drink soda, water, whatever I need. Even if it's something for a meeting, I'll stop there and because you know what, they did something good. They took a huge hit, and they ended up, but they came out great out of it. They're still surviving. They're opening more and more stores. They did the opiate stuff. They came up with a program to watch the opiates. But real quick, we're going to get back to our point here. We're going to take a quick break here, and after the break, we'll continue this conversation.
Friends in recovery.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery. Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, Genesis House, for supporting this show, along with individuals in recovery and the people that love them. Friends in Recovery Community of Support holds events across the country sponsored by Genesis House in Palm Springs, Florida, Marlton, New Jersey, Newtown, Connecticut, and Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. The Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast is powered by your likes, follows, subscribes, and shares. And please be sure to do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. And now here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Friends in Recovery podcast. I'm the Podfather, Mike Miles. I'm here with
Jersey Ed
and
Chris Cuddihy.
here
And-
we go.
and-
And
Sweet.
Sweet sticks.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Extraordinary
And we're back.
We're all back.
It's been a long day, guys.
has.
We're like, who
Long
are
day
you?
of
What am I?
podcasting. We're almost done. We're almost 15 minutes. We're done. But we do enjoy doing this show. But we do take some really long podcasting days here. So I forgot to give out the number for our voicemail.
You did.
Yeah, I know. But it was a very interesting conversation, which I want to continue here. The voicemail. Give us your thoughts on everything we're talking about, and do you? Let's do. I'm going to pose a question. I like getting these answers from everybody. Do you think we should ban alcohol from shelves? What do you think? Good question.
I know the answer.
I do too. But let's hear what they have to say. 617-379-1163. The question is, do you think they should ban alcohol from shelves? Email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com or call us on the voicemail and scream at us or agree with us at 617-379-1163. And just because your opinion is different doesn't mean it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's an opinion, and we'll listen to it, and we'll understand it.
Could be wrong.
No, everybody's right on this show. So, and then real quick, I want to do the Jersey Ed Podcast Pick of the Week. Jersey Ed Podcast Pick of the Week is... Are you ready for this one? It's called Unfuck Your Brain.
Yeah.
It's a good podcast. It's actually for females, but I do enjoy listening to some female podcasts. Host Kara, I won't even pronounce her last name. Look up Unfuck Your Brain. Is for high-achieving feminist women who struggle with anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. We'll teach you how to overcome social conditions and your own self-critical thoughts so that you can reduce your anxiety insecure Jesus Christ and your security, boost your self-confidence, get what you need what you want in life. I find these podcasts on anxiety very helpful. I don't care if they're females or males. They give me ideas, they give me thoughts. I may not be able to use all of them on maybe the female shows, but there are really some good information on it. It's called Unfuck Your Brain, and I think it's .ck your brain, but I did Google or I podcast, whatever.
Yeah, that thing that you do.
The thing you do. I
Did you put it into the Google
I
on the
searched. I
interweb?
put it into the Google.
On the interweb,
The
I said, "Hey
YouTube.
Siri."
Yeah, hey Siri, unfuck your brain, and she said, "Oh, fuck you." But anyways, it is a good podcast pick of the week. Listen, I've been talking all day, man.
I know you have.
It's been a long.
I've
day.
been listening to you all day.
I know you have. I know.
It's tough on both of us.
Yes,
all right?
it is, and our audience.
Yeah.
But they get us in
All
smaller
three of
doses.
them, I'll
so-
tell
They
you.
get to shut it off.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Don't shut it off, though.
Yeah.
And also, we want to thank Genesis House for everything. I keep forgetting to to thank everybody down there. But without Genesis House and the commercial you just heard, we wouldn't be available to do this. So
And
thanks,
we have
guys.
a running contest as well.
Oh
if I'm
yeah,
not
I
mistaken.
forgot. Yeah.
For anybody that's wondering, today's outfit is, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I'm shivering. It's just boxers.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
It's
ladies and
boxes,
gentlemen,
nice.
it's a mong.
Yes.
Whatever. They're really long.
It's a mong with
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah.
They're longer than what I normally wear.
Yes.
Okay, let's put it that way.
Yes.
But so if
Almost
you,
like capri box.
Capri, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
capri
Real
boxers,
short
yeah.
boxers. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Exactly.
Boxer briefs.
No shirt.
Very brief.
No shirt.
Yeah. No
No
shirt.
shoes?
No. Just
Just boxers.
Just boxers.
Those
So
nipple rings are really nice, by the way. I like that.
So you rolled out of bed and came right in here.
I did.
That was cool. That's a good move.
Yeah. Well,
That's a good move.
you guys needed me.
So, yes, we
Well,
did.
but
so why are we even talking
Well,
about
so
this?
the contest.
Oh yeah,
is
the
that,
contest. Is it
to-
the contest on Seinfeld? Is that what we're doing?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
No. This is the 617-379-1163
I'm out.
contest, which is where our listeners get to try to draw a picture, right?
I'm sorry, again. Yes. Does anybody know the Seinfeld
I
episode
don't.
of the
I-
contest?
I assume the two of you do because you were laughing hysterically.
I never-
It's the masturbation contest.
yes.
The one who can not masturbate.
The longest.
I'm pretty sure that, what's her name? Lost.
Which she was the first one out. Elaine was the first one out. And
Oh,
Kramer.
the contest.
Yeah, the
contest.
contest.
I know
Yes,
the
yes.
contest. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Kramer comes running through the door. He slams the money. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And he walks back out.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's called The Contest on Jerry Seinfeld. Has nothing to do with recovery, but just look
It
it
has
up.
everything to do with recovery.
It does. That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so your contest. You're talking about the
Well,
sweets.
our contest.
Who
It's
is sweets?
It's the Who is Sweets. Can you draw sweets? We had Podfather made a nice characterization. I
He
thought
did.
that was adorable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
he drew me in a pirate costume.
He did.
And so if you've listened and you've heard about any of these costumes and you feel like you can, throw something together,
That's right.
send it by email.
Yep.
And that's help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com.
That is
That's
it.
right.
And if you
.com.
send it by email, we'll take a look at it. And then in the end, I will assess
Yep.
and evaluate, and I will choose the one that I like the most.
Yeah.
How do you draw an email, though? I draw it on the screen, and it's like it
Oh, you
just
can
I
scan
can't
it.
send
You can
Yeah.
scan it.
scan
Some
it.
some people are artists
can do
out there
that with
that
the
can do
interweb?
this.
In the you put
Yeah.
it, you type it into the Google.
Yeah.
Incidentally, my living
Yeah,
is
yeah.
IT, by
No,
the way, but
you put it
because-
into the email
Yeah.
and you scan it in the scanner.
Email us a scanned copy of
Yes.
your picture,
Yes.
and I will evaluate it. And then the winner will have an opportunity to join us
lucky
by
winner.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Lucky winner.
Yes.
The lucky winner will
Yes.
get to see me.
Yes.
Which nobody else will.
Yep.
Right.
And they'll also get a T-shirt.
Yes.
No cameras,
Yeah.
no cell phones.
No.
Yes. No pictures,
Yeah,
please. No
absolutely
pictures,
not.
please.
No screenshots.
Yeah, we'll be watching you
don't
guys.
be that person.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that.
And you
Or
can't.
girl.
And don't record on your
Or girl.
your computer either.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
we're trusting you guys. This is a trust.
Call me at 555.
You know what's cool? you know what's cool about recovery is when I got that back.
The trust. Oh, that was so cool.
Like it took a couple years.
Yeah.
And I think that in my recovery, I actually started a business around recovery and got like my family on the board of directors
Yeah.
and was like, I was neck.
You really
deep in it.
manipulated them.
Yeah. Well, that's what they thought the whole time. They're like, my brother would come to me. He's like, so what's the deal? What's the con? I'm like, I'm just gonna get well. And he's like, so the long con? I'm like, I'm just gonna get
Really
well.
long.
That's it. And it probably took like 2 or 3 years before I got like my mother gave me the key to her house.
Yeah. Yeah.
People would come over and they didn't like look at me funny.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to get that trust back.
It
And
was so
that's
so relieving. I think is the right word.
Like I still, when I'm driving down the street after 10 years of being in recovery and doing the right thing, I still drive down the street. And when a cop pulls behind me, even if I've done nothing wrong, I feel like I have.
Yeah,
I'm guilty.
Yeah,
and I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that was the first thing that I got back.
Yeah.
Actually, was the fact that I looked in the rearview mirror and I went, the only thing you're getting me for is a bad tail light or speeding.
Yeah.
I'm not
But you
worried
still-
about the
but
Coke or the straw or
but you still get
anything
that
else.
feeling in your gut, though, don't you? When they come up
can't- I
behind
can't
you.
shake it.
I know I can't
Mine's
either.
gone.
Is
I
it
gotta
really?
say, yeah, it is.
I've been stopped a few times and texting on the phone, and just recently I got chased.
The Podfather. It's the story you told me the other day. Holy shit.
And I made it home, and I shut the lights off, and my heart was beating fast, and I thought, that was pretty good. Still got it. Like a Mercedes flies. But even as a cop, it's a nervous feeling, so I can only imagine how people feel when they are being pulled over. And,
They're all fucked up.
I've been pulled over in the city I worked in for 35 years, and I'm nervous. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, so what were we talking about? We could talk about
What about what it takes to get in recovery?
Yeah. Well, now we got the DUIs. You get a DUI, and now what do you do? What do you do with that? You learn? Do you learn from it, or you just keep fucking up? So learning from it would be recovery.
Yeah, but one of the first things I do as my job within the union, right, in Suffolk County, is that when I get, as our MAP, our program there, I'll get a call from someone in blue collar or white collar, and they'll say, hey, look, we've got this X, Y, and Z. The deal is, what do you want to do? You want to keep your job, or you want to keep on getting high? So that's the carrot, And if you don't have the carrot and the stick, then for us it's a real problem.
But think about somebody that's not connected to the AP, right? So what is the actual process when you get pulled over and arrested for a DUI? The response isn't you're an alcoholic, you need to abstain from this point forward. The response is, hey, listen, you drank irresponsibly. Let's get you to a DUI program. And the DUI program is not you're an alcoholic, you need to stop forever. It's you need to learn how to do what? Drink responsibly.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to manage your drinking.
Yeah.
So you're not. There's not an automatic assumption that because you got a DUI, you're an alcoholic.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, and that's so you may go through 2 or 3 of those programs before you get to a place where now you're saying, okay, do you want to keep your job or do you want to go to treatment?
Yeah. But so it's an assessment issue.
It is.
Right? So
or an intervention is another way we can get into recovery.
But you're right. It is an assessment issue.
Yeah.
It's right from the start. It's just you're automatically lumped in with, all right, well, it's fine. No big deal. Let's just cut you back a little bit. Let's get you to slow down and drink responsibly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how many of us have been involved in that kind of intervention, especially you? I mean, you look at it.
Especially you.
Well, you went through the issue today, and it's like, I haven't got a problem.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, if you get caught for a second offense now, you have to not only do you get charged and you're going to lose your license, and it's going to cost you about $10,000 with an attorney for attorney's fees and such, but you have to go and see a licensed alcohol drug counselor for at least 8 visits, and you have to prove to that person that you don't need any further help. And I think as a licensed alcohol drug counselor, I think it's a good thing because it really opens the eyes of people, especially on a second offense. Put it this way. We all know there are people that drive every day and drink every day, and they never get caught. So if you've been caught twice, you definitely
got a problem.
I'd say you got a problem. Either that or you're one lucky dude. You should be playing the mega bucks every night.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we come from a generation of when you got pulled over for drinking and driving, they just
sent
said,
you on your way home.
go
right?
home.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do the paperwork, right?
Where are you going, Chris? I'm going home. Don't stop at the North Sea Tavern.
Yeah.
Let's
get the
you
fuck
just
home.
put that in my head, so I'd stop at the
Yeah.
tavern. And I'd get a little.
But the
couple
other
more
the other thing I want to circle back to what you were saying before about the trust. I know we're a little bit further along, but I was at a meeting the other day at Newtown Parent Connection, Friends in Recovery Community Events meeting, and there was this young kid there, and really smart kid. He just got recovery. You can tell it clicked. He's working a program. It was a meeting at 7:00 at night. He drug his parents to it. He was just a good kid, a good kid. And he said, we were talking about trust there, and he says, I know when I was done drinking, I knew it. And I did too, and I agreed with him. I knew this was it. I knew I was done. I knew there was no more drinking. I knew I didn't want to drink. My family didn't know that. Nobody knew that. It was something, I think it's something that we get. When we're done with it, we're done with it, I believe. And that kid said everything I was thinking, and I was like, God damn, man. I was like, that is so true. The other 100 times I stopped drinking, I'm going to, like you said, we'll cut back a little bit. We'll assess it. We'll do this. I knew that time when I I got picked up by my ex-wife and my mom at my girlfriend's house, I knew that was the last time, and that's what happened. They picked me up at my girlfriend's house, my mom and my wife, and I was oh yeah, it's a story. It's a killer story, but I knew I was done, and I knew that was it. I knew I couldn't stop. I knew I had to stop.
Well, that's the sick and tired of being sick and tired, right?
Yeah,
And but it comes to all of us. We were talking in another episode about what day, how old, what seems to be the range that we get. How do we reach? How do you reach a 16-year-old?
Right. Yeah.
I started drinking alcoholically at 13.
Yeah.
Right.
And carried all the way into my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where do you say that's it?
Right.
I think we have to say that's it.
I've had some stone cold alcoholic clients that were, 18 younger. I mean, these were heavy hitters, kids that were drinking, a fifth on the way to school and on the way home. And just booze, no drugs at all. And it's amazing, like, to see somebody with the same traits as a 40-year-old alcoholic.
Yeah.
He's 15 or 16, and then you go a little deeper and you realize the family. This is what the whole home life's about. Dad's drinking like a fish.
Yeah.
He's not coming to the therapist. And as a therapist, I can tell you, 85% of the people that bring their children are mothers, not fathers. And it's not necessarily that they're always separated or divorced, but in most cases they are. However, fathers are working, they're not there. It's always the mother. It seems to be always the mother, and the mother's plight is trying to get junior or the junior miss, from using substances. And it's a scary place to be. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a neighbor, he's a good friend of mine. I was in the program with him for 8 years. He fell out. I think we've cycled him through 5 different rehabs in the last 2 years.
Wow.
He's got it down to a technique now. He leaves work. He has got a fifth of vodka underneath his car seat. He's 15 minutes away from his house, gets out of work, takes down the fifth, makes it home, and passes out at the kitchen table.
Right.
Oh, God.
He knows exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, absolutely.
And this is someone with 4 DUIs, by the way.
Wow.
And unfortunately, we just can't, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, it's
3 interventions.
If some people get it,
some people can't reach.
Yeah, the path to recovery, I think, and we got a couple minutes here, but the path of recovery is different, I think. What's the path of recovery look like? It's different for everybody. Is it rehab for somebody? My best friend called me out of the blue 10 years ago, or whatever. He might be 10 years sober now, but just out of blue said, Ed, I got a drinking problem. I'm like, yeah, you do, because you fucking hung out with me in high school, There's no doubt about it, you had a drinking problem. And he didn't opt to go into treatment. Yeah. Right. I picked him up every single day. I lived an hour away from him. This was good for me. I picked him up every single day, brought him to an AA meeting every single day at the same meeting. It was the 12 o'clock meeting, and then I went about my business and did what I had to do. But it kept me sober, and he's still sober. So there are different paths to recovery.
Yeah.
We all take different paths. So
don't be afraid to ask for help.
No,
if you think you have a problem, you probably do. That's the other thing too.
Yes.
Is we all try to hide it, we all try to run away from it. But if you're laying in bed and your life's falling apart and you think you might have a problem with substances, guess what? You probably
Good chance
do.
to do. Yeah.
It is funny. I go home when I go back to England and I'm there and I'm hanging out with friends and they go, well, you're not an alcoholic. You drank the same as we do. And I'm like, that's exactly my point.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to leave my homeland in order to be able to get sober because everybody else was like, that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, guys, it was a good show.
Great show.
Yeah.
Excellent.
DUIs are not funny. We did kid about it, but it's a serious subject. Don't fucking do it. Don't try it. Get a cab. Do something along those lines. Just stop drinking too. Call one of us. Get in treatment. Go to an AA meeting. Just don't drink and drive, please. That's all we ask. So.
That's right. Friends in Recovery podcast.
Stay sober, everybody.
Thank you
very much.
That concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for supporting those on the path to recovery and for keeping this valuable resource free for our Friends in Recovery community. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. If you can't get enough of Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, you can catch them on Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast, available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube.